morning, dear students. In the last class, we discussed so many things regarding communication, right? So today, we are going to know something about different channels of communication, okay? There are majorly two channels of communication. One is formal communication and the other one informal communication. Which are the two channels? One is formal communication, another one is informal communication. What is formal communication? Any communication happens between two people which arises because of authority and responsibility as well as organizational scalar chain, then that is called as formal communication. Any communication taking place between the superior and the subordinate is called as formal communication. So, formal communication, it may be in the form of oral or it may be written. It may be oral communication or it may be written communication. For example, simple example, you receive so many notices which is sent from principal's office and the lecturer, whoever present in the class, he or she will read the notice, right? That notice sent by the principal is considered as a part of formal communication because he is intending to communicate some important matters for the notice of the students, right? Therefore, it is example for formal communication. Some information regarding application for scholarship or maybe notice regarding schedule of examination or inter-class competitions or inter-college competitions, whatever. Those notices are put up on the notice board, right? So, any notice put up on the notice board is also considered as a part of a formal communication. Similarly, in organizations also, there are policies, there are procedures, there are instructions, there are orders to be given to the subordinates. Therefore, those orders, instructions or any matter to be communicated related to the work, that is considered as a formal communication. Okay. Here, in formal communication, we find different categories. One is upward communication, another one downward communication, horizontal communication and diagonal communication. Upward communication, any communication which the sender is at the bottom level and the receiver is at the top level, then that is considered as a upward communication. So, communication between subordinate and superior is upward communication. What is communicated to the superior? Subordinate submits his work. Superior assigns the target and the target has to be completed within specified time period. After its completion, he submits its report, right? Submission of reports, submission of the work or clarifications, seeking clarifications regarding any problems, any matter related to the work. If it is communicated from subordinate to the superior, then that is considered as upward communication. Okay. Then downward communication. Here communication is between superior and the subordinate, but here the sender of the communication is superior and the receiver is subordinate. So, here superior is intending to give some orders, give some instructions, or he is willing to communicate regarding important policies, procedures or whatever related to the work or related to the organization, then that is known as a downward communication. Okay. Then horizontal communication, communication between two people who are working at the same level or who are having the same status in the organization is called as a horizontal communication. For example, in the middle level management, marketing manager, human resource department manager or production manager, all are they fall in the same level, they have same status, their designation is same, but they work for different departments. Okay. So, here communication between the production manager and the marketing manager, or finance manager and production manager, communication between those two is considered as a horizontal communication. What might be the matter of communication? Unless the production department produces the goods, marketing manager cannot sell it, right. So, to plan regarding the sales or to plan regarding any advertisement or any sales promotion methods, marketing manager should know when the product will be received by the marketing department, right. So, production department should know about the customer's feedback, whether they have accepted the product or not, or there is any improvement or any ideas for new innovation or anything which is expected by the customer, then that information has to be received from marketing department, right. Therefore, there is necessity of communication between marketing manager as well as production manager, right. Therefore, any communication happens between two or more people which are having same status in the organization, which are who are having same organizational status, then that is known as horizontal communication. Then diagonal communication, communication between two people which are having different levels and different category, then that is known as a diagonal communication. For example, foreman of production department is intended to communicate something to marketing manager. Okay. Foreman works in the bottom level of the organization, marketing manager works or he is known as authority who is working in middle level management, right. Therefore, communication between foreman and the marketing manager is known as diagonal communication. What is communicated? For the quick information, he might ask, marketing manager might ask, what is the status of production, when the production will be sent to marketing department or any other matter related to work. Okay. That is known as a diagonal communication. Apart from this, there are different networks of formal communication. One is single chain network, wheel network, circular network, free flow network. Okay. Irrespective of these four, upward, downward, horizontal, diagonal, whatever the category of formal communication, it may have different networks: single chain, wheel network, circular network, free flow network and inverted V network. What is the single chain network? In single chain network, one person A, he communicates to B, B communicates to C, C communicates to D. You have studied regarding scalar chain, right? In scalar chain, what happens? A is communicating with the B and C, B is communicating with the D, C is communicating with the E and so on, right. Here, D is not allowed to communicate with A. There shouldn't be any communication between A and E, that is not allowed. Here, same way, communication according to the organization structure, it takes place. Okay. Therefore, single chain network, A to B, B to C, C to D. Here, only two participants, one superior and one subordinate. Okay. Then next, wheel network. In wheel network, what happens? One person, he is at the center, the person at the center generally is a superior and he communicates with the different people and those different people are subordinates. He is communicating with the subordinates. Any suggestions, any ideas, any opinions, a particular subordinate can share with the superior, but they are not allowed to talk to themselves. Okay. Consider A is superior and B, C, D, E, F are subordinates. Here all the subordinates can communicate with A, but the subordinates themselves, B cannot talk to C or C cannot talk to D. Even if they are talking, it will be in informal communication channels, but not formally. Okay. Here any communication happens between superior and subordinate. Okay. Then circular network. In circular network, what happens? The different members of the group, they talk to themselves. Here little bit free flow of communication compared to the earlier two networks. Here A can talk to B, okay. B can talk to C. One person can talk to two people who are at his adjacent. A can talk to E and B. C can talk to E and D same way, but A is not allowed to talk to D. He can talk to only those people who are at his adjacent level. Okay. That is known as circular network. And the next one is free flow. In free flow, there are no restrictions like wheel network or circular network or single chain network. Anyone can talk to anyone. Okay. Mr. A can talk to every subordinate. Okay. Subordinate can talk to all his group members as well as a superior. There is no restriction. The communication flows freely between every member of the group. Okay. And the last one is inverted V network. In inverted V network, what happens? A, superior, talks to B and C, but he cannot talk to E. Okay. Whatever communication related to A, that should happen between B and C, but E directly cannot approach A. If that particular network is there, then we call it as a inverted V network. So, in formal communication, there are 4 types: upward, downward, superior to subordinate, horizontal between people having same status or working in the same level, diagonal communication between two people who are working in different levels and related to different department. Okay. So, communication network, single chain network, one person communicates with the another person according to the scalar chain of the organization. Wheel network, superior talks to all subordinates and subordinate is allowed to talk superior only. Okay. Then circular network, one person is allowed to talk to two adjacent people, and free flow network which is free from all restrictions, all barriers. So, communication takes place between every person and inverted V network. Okay. This is about formal organization. Okay. So, let us know something about informal communication. Okay. Formal communication and informal communication. So, informal communication is also known as grapevine communication. Informal communication is also known as grapevine communication. In case of informal communication, what happens? Apart from the organization structure, apart from scalar chain, communication takes place between every person. Okay. If communication takes place between people who are not at all related in the organization structure or in the scalar chain, then that is known as informal or informal communication. In informal communication, what happens? There is nothing to instruct, nothing to give order, no policy matters are discussed. There is no written communication, but they discuss out of the box. You might have seen people who are working in companies, they go to canteen, they have coffee or they have breakfast or whatever they want. Meantime, they talk to each other, right? They discuss, they debate, and generally the debate will be regarding to the workers, the superiors or the manager. He may discuss the about the attitude of his subordinates, or he may be referring his boss and he may be expressing his views, or positive, maybe negative, and gossiping, right? We are familiar with the word gossip. So, in gossiping what happens? News spreads, and it spreads from one person to another person, and he spreads it to different people, and it is difficult to find out the original source, and it is not possible to rely on the matter, whether it is right or wrong, whether it is true or false, right. So, any discussion, any share or exchange of feelings or opinions, that is not directly related to the office matter, but it always rounds around the people who are working in the company, their attitude, maybe sometimes their personal matters, maybe regarding boss, maybe regarding the workers, maybe regarding the team members, or maybe project manager or whatever. Okay. So, you too might have involved in the informal communication. Generally, the students, if they talk in a group, then generally they talk about their teachers, their principal, right. And teachers, they talk about the attitude of the students, attitude of the class, right. So, those communication also considered as a part of a informal communication. In informal communication, just like formal communication, there are different types. One is a single strand. In single strand, what happens? Mr. A is telling something to Mr. B. Mr. B tells some news to Mr. C and Mr. D, so on. It continues. Okay. I tell it to you, you tell it to your friend tells it to his friend, and the chain goes on. Okay. Your teacher might have given you an exercise, or it is a game. One person should say some statement personally, okay, so that the other person should not come to know. And the same news is passed to another person, and when it reaches to the last person of the chain, then the original matter is different, what he heard is totally different, right. So, it gives much scope for gossip. So, first category is a single strand, and the second one is probability. In probability network, what happens? A is giving information to Mr. B, okay. Our boss, for example, my boss is very stubborn, arrogant, okay. B is telling the same news to Mr. C as well as Mr. D, okay. But he do not tell it to Mr. E, okay. Mr. C, he tells the matter to Mr. F, and D becomes silent. He will not say the same news to some other person. Probability, we may share it to another person, or we may not share it to another person, that depends. Probability, if we meet with the another person, then we will tell. If we did not meet, then there is no point of telling, okay. Probability, whether we share the news or not, that depends on a situation, okay. Then that is called as a probability. Then randomly. So, probability means randomly we are telling the news, whether we are telling or not telling, that depends on a person. And the next one is gossip. Here in case of gossip, this news is exchanged between everyone. A is telling news to B and all other participants, and they also pass on the same news to whoever they meet. Okay, that is called as a gossip. And gossip, there is no clarity of information, and there is no confirmation that whether the news is true or false. Okay, and the next one is a cluster. Cluster communication. In cluster communication, information is given to only few people, not everyone. Okay. In between we leave some people. We share information only with those people whom we believe or whom we trust. Okay. Unless and until there is no trust, then we will be silent and we won't share any news, and that is known as a cluster. Okay. Cluster is the most common form of informal communication, because if the matter is so secret, then informal communication might become risky, right. There are some confidential matters which has to be kept very confidentially, right. So, if those confidential matters are discussed with the other people, then what happens? Definitely the news will go on spreading and it may adversely affect the organization. Okay. So, therefore, we have to be very careful in informal communication, and the manager should have the talent of using informal communication. Informal communication has both positive sides and negative sides. It is beneficial to the manager because of the news, because of the gossip, manager can come to know what is right, what is wrong, whether the decision taken by him is right or wrong, or he will come to know what is the opinion of subordinates about him, right. What is the mentality of the employees, what they are expecting from the management, everything will be known easily by informal communication. Okay. So, there are two channels of communication, formal communication and informal communication. Okay. Apart from this, communication fails. Many a times communication fails, right. Whatever the arguments, whatever the difference of opinions, everything happens because of lack of communication, right. Therefore, if everything should go in a smooth way, even in family, even in friend circle, even in organization, even in society, communication plays vital role, right. So, now we will discuss something about barriers to communication, right. Every problem or every hindrance in effective communication is known as barriers to communication. So, which are the various barriers to communication? There are 4 different barriers to communication, and because of these barriers, communication fails. Okay. The first barrier is semantic barrier. First barrier is semantic barrier. Second one is psychological barrier. Psychological barrier. Third one, organizational barrier. Organizational barrier. And the fourth one is personal barrier. Okay. Which are the 4 barriers to effective communication? Semantic barrier, psychological barrier, organizational barrier and personal barrier. Okay. Semantic barrier. This semantic barrier is most common barrier in communication. Okay. What is semantic barrier? This semantic barrier is regarding the words whatever used in the communication as well as the tone used in communication. The words as well as the tone used in communication is known as a semantic, and any problem occurs because of the words used or the tone used, then that problem is known as a semantic barrier. Okay. Therefore, semantic barrier refers to problems and obstructions in the process of encoding or decoding the message into words or proper impression, then that is known as a semantic barrier. In semantic barrier, we find different types. One is badly expressed message. First one is badly expressed message. Message, how it is expressed badly? For example, I will say sit there, right? Sit there statement can be encoded in different ways. If I say sit there, that means what? I am angry, right? And I am intending to punish the student, right? Sit there. If I say like this, then a tone of requesting, right? Therefore, as I said earlier, the tone whatever we use for the communication, that matters a lot, right? So, therefore, badly expressed message, we are willing to request, but that requesting way, if we convert into order, then a student should always request, right? He shouldn't order. A colleague or a staff member or a lecturer, he should request principal, right? That I want 1 week leave, or I want this kind of facilities to my students, but the same tone is changed to order, then there happens ineffective communication, right. So, if the words whatever we use, the tone whatever we use is, if we are using it inappropriately, then it will create problem, and that is known as badly expressed message. And symbols with the different meaning. Symbols with the different meaning. There are some words which have different meaning, right. Therefore, we have to understand what is the meaning of that particular word or that particular expression in that situation, right. So, therefore, right understanding of the expression, right understanding of the word and right presentation of the symbol is also much more important, right. For example, what is profit? Profit of the organization is understood in different ways, right. Or for example, manager says this is the ideal method, the method whatever used is ideal. If the subordinate understood as idle, you are an ideal person, okay. You are an idle person. Idle is different, ideal is different, right. So, if the manager does any mistake or the subordinate does any mistake in listening, the manager is doing mistake in expressing, ideal is different, idle is different, right. Principal is different, principle is different, right. So, even they sound similarly, the meaning is totally different. So, how we understand, how we express, that matters a lot. And faulty translation. A statement of English, if it is converted to Hindi or Kannada, then if we are converting as it is same way, then the meaning of the sentence will be no more, right? The sentence becomes meaningless. Therefore, the person who translates, he should know what was the idea of the statement, what was the meaning of the words, right? Therefore, in translation, translating to different languages, then if any mistake is committed at that time also, we should be very careful. Then unclarified assumptions. Generally this happens, right? We give one statement or we give one work to subordinates, then we already assume that subordinates know the basic things, right? For example, one fresher has joined the company. He is working along with the 5 members who have experience, okay? And one project is given to the fresher, and the manager assumes that he knows every work, and if he expects that the work has to be done, right, then that may not work, right. Therefore, while framing assumptions, the assumptions must be realistic and those assumptions must be careful, right. If manager says take care of the guest, okay, guests are coming, visitors are coming, our customers are coming, take care of them, right. Take care of them means what? He is intending that take care of means their food, their accommodation, everything has to be taken care of. So, the subordinate should make arrangement for hotel, restaurants or any arrangement or any requirement of the customer or the visitor or the guest has to be fulfilled. Okay. But the subordinate or the person who is given work, he assumes that take care of means he need not worry about food or accommodation or anything, just accommodating him, talking to him and giving a chair to sit is enough, right. So, therefore, lot of difference in understanding the assumptions. Therefore, manager should be very clear in assuming. Even if he assumes, he should remind the subordinates. Then technical jargon. If heavy words are used, if technical language is used, right, technical language is known to only people who are working with the technology, right. There are some instruments, there are some machineries and there are some processes to handle, right. If the person working in another department may not know about the words, right. Therefore, while using technical jargons, we should be very careful. Those technical jargons should be used only with those people who are familiar with the words, right. Even though we use heavy words, because the words maybe they are grammatically correct and maybe having rich language, but if the opponent or the receiver of the message is unaware about those words, then communication fails. Okay. Then body language and gesture coding. Body language is also much more important in understanding or decoding and encoding, right. So, therefore, body language of the two people should be in a such a way that should give right information, right. So, if we wish good morning, right, that body language, if we wish good morning, then that body language tells the opponent that we are wishing, right. Even though good morning is not heard, then that is understood that we are wishing him, right. So, therefore, understanding the body language is also much more important. And if you wish a principal, principal, good morning, right, what will be considered? The student will be the student may be punished for that, right. So, even though we are using gestures, postures, then we should know with whom we are communicating, right. Therefore, body language, gesture is also important. And the second barrier is psychological barrier. What we think about opponent, that also becomes problem in communication. So, hindrances arises because of emotional or psychological status, that is known as psychological barrier. If we are angry, if we are sad, if we are upset, then definitely we will not be able to communicate properly, right. Therefore, maintaining our psychological emotional status, that is also much more important. In psychological barrier, there are different types. One is status or premature evaluation. When we look at some person, then we judge on the basis of first impression, right. If one person is silent, then we may think that he is egoistic person, he is not willing to mingle with anyone, he is not ready to share his feelings, right. Why he is silent? The reason is different. He may be having some personal problems, or he may be having some health issues, or he may be tensed regarding the work to be completed, or whatever, right. So, therefore, we should not come to the conclusion, we should not evaluate according to our understanding, according to our psychological or mental status, okay. That is premature evaluation. And lack of attention. Manager has held one meeting, 10 to 15 subordinates are listening to that discussion, okay. It is very, very important to be physically and mentally present, right. Not only physically presence, mental presence is much more important. 100% concentration should be on the manager's speech. Whatever he is going to tell, that has to be listened carefully, and the subordinate should make a note of it, right. If subordinate is thinking about his work is pending since 2 days, right, he has a lot more responsibility, at the end of the day he has to submit, his thinking is only around the work to be completed, then he may not be able to listen properly, right. Therefore, he is not having concentration, concentration is somewhere else, then communication fails, right. And whatever the manager's instructions, they are not decoded properly by the subordinate. This next one is loss by transmission and poor retention. Poor retention. 10 to 15 instructions are given to the employees, and oral instructions are given. That time the employees might get confused. If they do not have long lasting retention capacity, then whatever the instructions, 1 or 2 will be remembered, rest of the things they will forget, and if they forget, it is not possible to work properly. Therefore, they have to make a note what is given instruction, what are the different instructions given, that they have to make a note. And the last one is distrust. Manager is not trusting the subordinates. He do not trust on the behavior, on the capacity, on the attitude of the subordinates, and he will not share feelings, or he will not give every information to the subordinates. Similarly, if the subordinates do not trust the manager, then also communication fails, okay. These are the 4 categories of psychological barriers. And the next one is organizational barrier. Any barrier occurs because of the organization structure, then that is known as a organizational barrier. First one is organizational policy. The policy of the organization is framed in a such a way that there is no scope for free flow of communication, okay. You might know about organization structure. If the organization structure is too lengthy, okay, if the organization structure is too lengthy, then definitely free flow of communication will not take place. Therefore, organizational policy regarding the communication process, formal communication process also becomes a barrier. Then rules and regulations. Company imposes lot many rules and regulations regarding formal communication, right. If the rule says that at any cost the chain shouldn't be breaked, or there is no scope or there is no opportunity to meet the general manager of the company directly, then that also becomes a barrier, because employees are assets of the company and their suggestions, their feelings, their ideas, they become most important for the development of the company, right. So, therefore, there should be free flow of communication, and too much rules and regulations in the company which hinder the communication, that becomes a organizational barrier. And the third one is status. Sometimes status of the company, status of the person given in the company, that becomes a barrier. For example, general manager might think himself as the superior in the company, and he may not be willing to talk to his subordinates because of the status. He will talk to only those people who fall in the equal status. So, that mindset of the employees or the person or the positions created because of the work also becomes a organizational barrier, and the lower level employee, he may not be comfortable to talk to top level employees because of the status. Okay. And the next one is complexity in the organizational structure. If the organization structure is centralized, then the scope for communication is very less. If there is decentralization, then the scope for communication is more, right. If the organization structure is lengthier, then there will not be free flow of communication. Therefore, structural organization structure also matters a lot in creating hindrances. And the last one is organization facilities. You might have seen suggestion box, even if you go to hospitals, even if you go to lodges or colleges, right, every company has a suggestion box. In the suggestion box, the customer or the outsider as well as the employees, they can give their suggestion, just write whatever needed and just put it into the box. That kind of facilities are not provided, then the employees may not have any scope to express their views, where to express, right. They want to tell something which is very important for the organization, but there is no scope for expressing their views, right. That creates a problem. So, complaint box, then social and cultural gatherings, part of informal organization, also very important for a communication purpose. If those gatherings are not conducted, then that also becomes one of the organizational barrier. And the last one is a personal barrier. The attitude, mindset of the individual, sometimes it creates problem in conducting effective communication. So, which are the personal barriers? One is fear of challenge to authority. Generally, people, they fear regarding losing their status or losing their position, right. That time they become silent and they do not take risk. They want to be good in the eyes of everyone. For example, subordinate has a problem and that problem has to be communicated to the top level official. The manager, the link between those two, he hesitates. If I communicate this problem to the top level management, then he might scold me or I may lose my job, right. Therefore, sometimes the psychological thinking of a person also becomes barrier. Then lack of confidence of superior on his subordinates. So, I can tell it as a lack of trust. Lack of trust, because of lack of trust, superior is not trusting the subordinate, then the distrust may hinder or may control him from giving or sharing any information or idea. That trust also becomes one of the barrier. Then unwillingness to communicate. If the manager is not willing to communicate, why he is not willing to communicate? Maybe because of the personal reasons, maybe he is not intending to talk, or maybe he is having some personal problems, or there may be personal difference of opinion between those two, whatever, okay. Because of those reasons, they are not willing to talk to each other. So, if someone is unwilling to talk, then it is not at all possible to communicate, right. Any effort will become waste, right. Therefore, unwillingness to communicate also becomes one of the barrier. Then lack of proper incentive. Proper incentive. Incentives always boost the morale of the employees, right. In the motivation chapter we have, in the motivation class we have studied what kind of motivations are given to the employee, financial and non-financial, right. So, along with the non-financial motivation, support, courage or good words, appreciation, apart from that, even incentives, they become much more important, right. If the incentives are not given, if any financial motivation is not given, then that also becomes one of the problem in communication. Therefore, the employee may he may control himself from doing any good work to the company, okay. These are the barriers in the process of effective communication: semantic barrier, psychological barrier, organizational barrier, personal barrier, okay. There are barriers, there are problems, there are difference of opinions, there are obstacles. So, how to solve this? So, which are the different ways to come out from these barriers, and how to make the communication very effective, okay. Is it not possible? It is possible, because everything is in our hands, right. So, if we correct the problem, right, if we take a right move, then definitely communication becomes effective. So, which are the measures to solve the different problems related to communication, measures to overcome barriers? Okay. First, what we have to do? First thing, clarify the ideas before communication, okay. Clarify idea before communication. For example, one meeting is held. While giving notice of the meeting, notice is held on such date at such time, venue, this and this. All are requested to attend without fail. This is not complete. The agenda of meeting has to be communicated, so that the employees come prepared to the meeting. They will come to know why the meeting is called, or what will happen. They will have their own assumptions, their own ideas, right. So, and every employee may think in their perspective, right. Some people may think that they are going to be punished. Something happened in the organization, so urgent meeting has been called, right. So, to solve every problem, clarity must be given. So, they have to give agenda of meeting. What is the idea behind conducting the meeting? So, before we address, we should clarify our idea, what we are going to talk about, right. So, that is one of the way to come out from barriers. And the second one is communicate according to the needs of the receiver, okay. Communicate according to the needs. This is much important, right. the needs of the receiver has to be understood properly. So, production department employees, they should communicate only regarding their work, right. If something information is given related to marketing department or any other issue, it has no meaning, because it is not their business and they do not have any interest in that, right. So, therefore, the need of the receiver has to be taken care of. In class also, we should understand the mental level of the students, right. What category of students they are they able to receive information whatever I give, right. So, information has to be given according to the capacity of the students, right. If we give very little information which is already known to them, right, you know everything about that, and if I go on telling in detail, then definitely you will not have interest to listen, right. If I give information which is not at all required, right, if I teach you some accountancy chapter which is going to be taught in degree, then do you have interest in that? Because you are not going to write, you are not going to read right now, right. So, what is important for the present, what is the need of the day, that is much more important, right, rather than discussing about far future plans. Okay. Meeting is called and manager is discussing what will be the target after 20 years, it is meaningless, right. What is today's target? What is tomorrow's target? What is the target which has to be completed right now? That is important, right. So, communication according to the need, that is important, and consult others before communicating. Consultation about what? Consultation about the message to be given, about the involvement of others, about the matter to be discussed, which is important, which is not important. To decide, we have to consult others, right, because our idea may not be perfect. To become more perfect, we have to consult others. Okay. Then the next one is be aware of language, tone and content. Aware of language, tone, content, right. This is much more important. The words whatever we use, that is more important. For example, if we use bad words while scolding even to our children, our own children, they may get hurt, right, and tomorrow they might copy the same things and it becomes negative on their character, right. If we say one employee has committed one mistake and if the manager says you are useless, you are good for nothing, then it will definitely hurt his morale, right. The employee will be negatively motivated and he may become completely silent. So, we should be very careful in using the tone, using the words. So, that is one of the ways to improve communication and convey things to help and value the listeners. Convey things to help and value the listeners, right. Why we are communicating? What is the objective? We are communicating because the opponent has to understand it, right. So, we should know that whatever we say, that has to be understood by the receiver. Therefore, the value of the person who is receiving is also much more important. I should communicate, and while communicate, I should keep in my mind that the person should understand it, right. Therefore, valuing the listener is also very important. And the next one is ensure proper feedback. Feedback is necessary. If feedback is not given, then the sender of the information, he will not have any clarity whether the opponent is understanding or not, right. Therefore, in classrooms also you might have experienced, your teacher asks you every now and then, did you understand, right. If you respond, if you give feedback, then it becomes easy to understand whether the class has the class or the mass or the students group has understood or not, and any improvements to be made that can be planned properly for the next communication process, or immediately the way of communication can be changed, the problem can be solved immediately. Okay. The next one is communicate for present as well as future. So, just communication in the present or today is not important, and the communication should also be always for future. Therefore, the communication process, it should be continuous, even today, tomorrow, also in the future. Okay. Then follow up. Follow up of communication is important. Order is given, instruction is given. Once the order is given, then the manager's duty is to observe whether the work is completed or not. If the work is not completed, then he should question why the work is not completed. Again, feedback has to be given. Again, instruction should be given. Therefore, there must be feedback and follow up, and be a good listener, very important. Be a good listener. Some people, they go on talking. They do not bother whether the person is responding or not, and they are not ready to listen the views of others. One way communication, right? I go on telling, you go on listening, and I don't bother whether you have understood or not. That is meaningless, right? Before becoming a good communicator, we have to become good listener. We should listen properly what is the response for the communication given, right? Therefore, these are the different ways to come out from barriers of communication. Clarify idea before communication, then communicate according to the needs, consult others before communicating, aware of language, tone, content, convey things to help and value the listeners, ensure proper feedback, communicate for present and future, follow up, and be a good listener. Okay. So, hereby we come to an end of chapter directing. Directing chapter question paper has question in every section, section A, section B, section C, as well as section D. From the point of view of examination, this is a much important chapter. Okay. In the coming classes, we will discuss about the next function of management, that is controlling. Okay. Thank you.